We are live. Hello, it's LaShawn with Let's Get Social, and we are going to be sewing Simplicity 9789 or Simplicity 9790, depending on which pattern that you have. But we're actually not going to be sewing this. We are going to be using this pattern to create a hack. So we're going to get started in a few minutes, just letting everyone hop on. And I'm going to adjust my lighting a little bit because I realize it is super bright. Let's see if that helps a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I think it helps a little bit. All right, I'm still working on this whole lighting thing, so we will see how it all pans out. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Miss Tata, welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday before Christmas. For those that celebrate, this is probably a busy Friday because it's the last one before Christmas. So for those people who had to work all week, you likely are out shopping. And so hopefully you make it home in time to be able to hop onto this live so that you can see the final product. But of course, I would love for you to be able to see the entire make of this dress because it is going to be amazing. And for those that are sewing along, hopefully you got an opportunity to go onto YouTube and see the prep video that I put to help you prepare your patterns and your fabric for today. But if not, no worries. We're going to talk about it. Hi, Aisha. Welcome. I'm so happy that you are here today. Yes. And then for those that are hopping on to TikTok, one of the things that helps a lot of people get notified that we're on live is the like. So when you have a chance, tap, 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 because that will then push out notifications so that other people who need a friendly reminder to hop on will hop on. Hello to my YouTube family. Hello to my Facebook family. And hello to my Instagram family. For those that are on Instagram, so Instagram is now cutting off after an hour. I got a notification when I was getting on today. So please join us over on YouTube where you will be able to continue to watch. My hope based on the mock that I have done is that this will be a quick sew, but let's just say fingers crossed. I did a quick sew on my own and I feel like it will be a quick sew this time around. And I hope that it is something that you all will make. I do plan to make another one even after this one that hopefully I'll be wearing on Christmas because that's how quick of a sew that it is. Thank you, Ms. Tata, for sharing. I really appreciate you sharing. That is so, so helpful. So let me make sure I pull up. Okay, there we go. And so I'm live now on all our platforms. So for those that are new here, my name is LaShawn, and this is Let's Get Social live sew along. Today we are going to be sewing Simplicity 9789, or 9790, depending on which pattern. It has a sister pattern, depending on the size that you wear. But we are not really going to be sewing this pattern. We are using this pattern, or we are hacking this pattern to be able to make an Altuzarra dress. So Simplicity had posted this pattern as well as an Altuzarra ruche dress. So that went from, floor to ceiling, so to speak. And I just was like, I have to make that. I didn't know what was involved in making that dress, but I saw it, I loved it, and I was like, that dress right there is worthy of New Year's Eve, and I'm going to figure out how to make it. And so I did figure out how to make it. And so what you see right here is basically my muslin, but not really, because I am going to be wearing this. It is, when I tell you this dress is everything, so I have not posted the pictures of me wearing this dress, but I think most women like this ruching because it sucks and tucks and just does everything that you needed to do. And this dress was no different. It definitely hid everything that needed to be hidden and gave you like a little curvy body, more than I have. So it is everything. So I'm going to be posting the pictures that I took already in this dress, but I wanted to not spoil the surprise because we are going to be making this dress today. But I just love it. I'm telling you, this is probably one of, if not my most favorite dress that I've ever made. If that just gives you some level of excitement of how I am excited about this dress and cannot wait to wear it. So before we dive into it, I'm going to talk about a little bit. Thank you, Katie. And if anybody is sewing along, please let me know. Hey, Julian. Let me know that you are sewing along so that I can walk you through, any steps or answer any questions or be on the lookout for any questions that you may have related to this dress. So a couple of things that we are going to be doing that are different from this pattern. Well, a lot of things that we're going to be doing that's different from this pattern. One is that this pattern does call for an invisible zipper. And the hack for this dress is what I'm telling you is that it is optional. We are not going to be putting an invisible zipper in this dress because we are using a knit. And so if you are using an ITY knit, or let me tell you the knits that it calls for: jersey, ITY, any kind of spandex blend, stretch velvet, you are going to be able to get away without putting the zipper in. But if you have any concerns about your ability to be able to get the dress over your shoulders, I don't think you're going to be able to step in the dress. I haven't tried, so I don't know, but I can definitely get it over my shoulders comfortably. And I did a what do you call it? A basting stitch just to see if I was going to need to add the zipper. And I was able to get the dress, it just stretched. So I didn't have to do anything I didn't need it. So I just went on ahead and put the permanent stitch in with no problem. But just know that you may want to do the same thing because we are taking a shirt and we are making it into a dress. But because we are using a knit, it has that flexibility. I feel like you're going to be able to get this dress on without the invisible zipper, but it does call for one in the original pattern. So let me talk a little bit about the other things that I did to the pattern itself. So I did put a video on YouTube that talked about how I prepared the pattern so that I can have the fabric the way that I need it to be. So in this original shirt, the shirt is basically two pieces. There is a front and back piece, which is one. So basically you are cutting the same piece twice, which accounts for the front and the back of the shirt. And then you have basically an overlay that goes over top of the shirt. And the overlay is really what is used to make all this ruching. So you can't see it, but I'm going to try to show it to you in this dress. I think I can pull it up. I can a little bit. So let me try to pull it up so that you can see what I did. So this right here, what you're seeing on top is the overlay that I used to make the ruching. And underneath of it is the actual dress, which you use a knit to make as well. And so I don't know if you can see it. Oh, you can see it. Okay. So this right here is the actual dress itself, which is also made out of a knit. And this dress right here is attached to this ruching. And so one of the things that you have to do is you have to make this dress long enough that your gathers allow, and I'm going to scoot this back so you can see it, so that your gathers go all the way to the bottom of the dress. And so, in other words, the ruching or the overlay has to be twice as long as the actual dress itself, because once you are putting the gathers in, which the gathers go all the way from the shoulder all the way down the dress. And so in order for you to have the ruching effect all the way to the bottom of the dress has to be twice as long as the overlay has to be twice as long as the dress. And the same thing is true in the shirt. And so you will see when you look at your shirt, when you look at the original pattern, you have the overlay, which is from the underarm section down to the bottom of it, is twice as long in that that section. And even the arm length area of your overlay is extended. It is longer. And so you will need to do the same thing for the dress. The good news is that the pattern is already proportionate. The overlay is already proportionate to the top pattern all the way until you get to the bottom of the pattern, which falls right below the waist. So the only adjustment that you have to make is the additional part that you're adding. So for every inch of additional part that you add, or additional length that you add to the dress itself, which is the front and back piece, you need to add twice as much to the overlay to account for the ruching that you're going to do, or the gathering that you're going to do. And so what I did for me, I measured from my waist to my foot, because in the Altuzarra, the dress, the actual dress itself, it goes all the way down to the floor. It touches the floor. And I like a longer dress, and I want mine to come down that long. What I would recommend if you're going to make this dress is to adjust it to the height that you want. This dress that I made here does not come all the way down to the floor. It comes right above the ankle, and partly because I ran out of fabric, because I wasn't sure how much fabric I was going to need, but it still is very beautiful. Even though it doesn't go all the way to the floor, it's still just a very beautiful dress. And so you can make it the length that you want. So even if you don't want it to go, you could make it definitely look beautiful as a, mini or a mid or an ankle, which is what this one is. And then the other one I'm going to make tonight is going to go all the way down to the floor, because I will wear it with some 4-inch heels, which will take it off the floor just enough, but you will still get the look. So for myself, I had to add to the front and back piece to take it from a shirt to a dress. I had to add 38 inches to take it down to the floor, to the shirt piece. And then in order for me to make the dress piece, the overlay piece be enough, I had to add about 75 inches to take it to 108 inches total. And so if you are, again, if you're interested, hi, Miss Alethea, welcome. If you are interested, I definitely would tell you to go watch the prep video, because I have some pictures on there that kind of show how I did what I did. And it might sound a little bit complicated as I'm talking you through it, but let me tell you, it is very, very simple. Like I said, the harder part of the pattern, you don't have to do anything because it's already made to have the overlay have the ruching effect. So you don't have to worry about it. All you're doing is basically replicating what has already been done in the shirt part to extend it to a dress. That is literally all you're doing. And in fact, what I would argue is that the way we're going to make it is even easier, because we are leaving out the invisible zipper. And because we're using knit, or if you're using ITY or any spandex type, I think you will be able to safely leave out the invisible zipper as well. The last thing that I'll mention before we get started is that I did sew this in a size 12. I am typically a size 14. I sewed it in a size 12, and I still did not need the invisible zipper. I am sewing this one that I'm doing today in a size 14. And the main reason I'm doing a size 14, because I want to see, one, does it give me a little bit of a different look in terms of the ruching effect? And what was I going to say? Yeah, so I'm going to do a size 14, a little bit bigger. We'll see how it works. Worst case scenario, if it feels too loose to me, then I could always go in and do a little bit of serging towards on the side seams. So with that said, let me know if you have any questions. Hi, Cabela. Hi, let me see. Elisa. Hello. Thank you, Miss Tata. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jalen. Yes, I love this dress. Let me tell you, I can't say it enough that I absolutely love the dress. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the fabric that I'm using. So I'm using this kind of glittery, shimmery fabric. And I decided to go with this purplish because I thought this is probably going to be the New Year's Eve dress, probably. But I also thought, because of the color purple, the movie coming out, I thought, why not wear purple? This could serve a dual purpose because I can wear it to a color purple kind of movie thing or whatever. If for some reason I don't end up wearing it on New Year's, but even if I do, I could still wear it. But so this is the fabric that I'm using. It's a two-way stretch fabric. So you can see it has a lot of stretch in it. And so you need to know, the other thing you need to know, we talked about this on one of our prior lives, is that if you are using your fabric and you're not sure whether it has enough stretch, this needs 50% stretch, but you can take a 4-inch piece of the fabric or just hold it right here, stretch it across, or not stretch it, lay it across this first part in white, and then that should be 4 inches, and then you're going to pull it to see if it goes this extra 2 inches. The 4-inch piece should easily stretch over here for the additional 2 inches. And if it does, then you know your fabric has enough stretch to do what you need it to do for this pattern. And so this fabric, like I said, it does have a lot of stretch in it, but it is two-way stretch. So you definitely have to make sure that you follow your lines in terms of when you're cutting it, because if you cut it the wrong way, you have no stretch this way at all. So all the stretch is that way. So anyway, this is the fabric that I'm using. Very excited about it. And then the fabric that will be underneath of it is this light purple. So you really won't see this fabric at all. Just like in this dress, it's there, but you really cannot see it. So it's there. So this is the dress that'll be underneath. This fabric is a knit. It's very soft. It's very comfortable against my skin. So this dress will be very comfortable. Like I said, I do plan to make this dress again in white. I've already bought the fabric. I want to wear it, I think, on New Year's Day, but a much more comfortable look. So I'm basically using a knit like this, but in white. So we're going to see how that looks. I'm excited about making that as well. All right. So with that said, let us get started. We are going to be following some of the directions in the pattern. So again, if you are sewing along, let me know. Make sure you let me know that you are sewing along. Okay, here we go. So again, we're using view B, which is this top, and we're extending it to a dress. So when you are following the instructions, you are going to be following view B. If you follow view A, which is the other top, the only difference is that it comes with this strap there, and you might need more support. So you can definitely add this strap. Again, it doesn't change anything that we're going to do. You could make this dress and very well have a strap that goes onto this piece, but that we're not doing that piece today, but you could definitely do that. So for view B, we are going to be taking our, let's see, we're not doing the shoulder straps. Let me see. We're going to be going right into our gathering. So let's talk about the gathering. What's involved in gathering? So the gathering is only done to the overlay piece. So that's the piece that's going to be on the outside. So we're going to be using this nice, pretty fabric. So you would have cut 2 of these. There is quite a bit of gathering. Like I said, you are gathering all the way from the shoulder, all the way to the bottom of the dress. Gathers. Now, I am going to be using my gathering foot. One, because it is much quicker. But for those that don't have a gathering foot, the instructions do not tell you to use a gathering foot for this. They tell you to gather what I like to call the old-fashioned way, but the way that you gather when you don't have a gathering foot, which is that you put in 2 rows of basting stitch. Now, because we're making a dress, and quite a long dress, what I recommend is that you do not do a row, one single row all the way from the top to the bottom. I think that will be a lot to gather off of one single piece of gather. I would take sections and create a basting stitch from maybe the shoulder to the waist. And then I would create another one maybe from the waist down. So create basically 2 sections, and then you have a little bit more room that you could play around with your gathers. And so ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to place, and I'm going to use my dress form as an example. You are going to place a gather on this side, so the side that comes under the arm, you're going to go from the side all the way down. If you're going to do the basting stitch method, I would go from the underarm to the waist and create 2 rows of basting stitch. And then I would create another and then stop there, leave some extra string so you have to pull, or thread so you have to pull around. Same thing at the top, leave some at the top. And then I would just basically start again and create another one from the waist down. And you may even want to create a 3rd section just so you can play around with it a little bit more and don't just have this really long piece that you're trying to gather off of one thread. So that would be my recommendation, that you create multiple sections if you're going to use the basting method. And then again, make sure you have your 2 rows, because that gives you the maximum amount of gather that you can get by kind of moving those or pulling those threads to get the gathering effect. And so you're going to do it on the side. You are not going to gather this section across the top. You're not going to gather that at all. So once you do down this side, you are then going to do the same thing on this side, but you are doing it from the top of your shoulder seam and down the side. So this is basically the dress put together, but you're going to go all the way from the top and then you're going to go down. And I would do the same thing. Break it into sections. If you're going to use the basting method, just gather, create one section, the armhole down to the waist. Again, leave some extra thread at the top and bottom so you can create your gather by kind of, pulling your threads. And then I would create another one from the waist down, and possibly even a 3rd one, depending on how tall you are, just to make it a little bit easier to, create your gathers. That is what I would do. And so you are going to do that on section 2, or on pattern piece number 2. You will be doing that on both of your pattern pieces. So you have 2 pattern pieces, a front piece and a back piece, and you're going to gather both of those sides. If you are using a gathering foot, hey, Rochelle, welcome. If you are doing a gathering foot, then I will tell you, I've set my gathering foot on 6, which is usually what I use for 99% of the gathers that I do. I set it on 6, which is a gather every 6 stitches. Why is my thing not wanting to come out? Oh, there we go. Which is a gather every 6 stitches. And so that's what I have it set on. That's what I set it on for this dress. And that gave me this beautiful gathering that I got in this dress. So 1 every 6 is what I set it on. And that worked perfectly also for the length of the dress as well, to give me the length that I needed to let the gathers go all the way from the top to the bottom. I'm going to, let me see. Sometimes it's difficult to read the comments because they are in white and my background is white. Okay, so if I put something there, then I can see the comments a little bit better. So I'm just putting my gathering foot on, and we're going to start making those gathers. There we go. So is everyone ready for, hi, Abby, welcome. Welcome. Is everybody ready for the holiday, for those that celebrate? Or are you still like, some of you I'm sure are right outside shopping right now at this very moment. You are like, I'm going shopping. I gotta, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm going shopping. Who is ready and who is still shopping? You said no more shopping. I am done. You said you're so ready for the holidays. Me too. Let me turn on my Christmas tree. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you could see it lit up because of the lighting, but there's no flashing. It's just the old traditional single light. But I am ready for the holidays as well. It's been a busy, I've been off for I've been off for well, since um, I've been off since Tuesday, but it doesn't feel like it. I've been running and busy from the very beginning. So it's been an interesting thing. Thank you, Leangela. Thank you so much. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're able to join us. Since you just got on, I just want to let you know that for Instagram, it will cut off after an hour. They are working on fixing that. But for now, when it does cut off, if you are still interested in joining us, please hop over to YouTube, where you will be able to continue to watch and see the final garment. Yeah, but I've been running, and so I'm off next week as well. And I feel like that's going to be like my recovery, my relaxation. Hi, is it Tammy? Let's see. Was the gathering foot brought separately from your machine? Yes, the gathering foot, I did buy the gathering foot separately. So when I had, every time this is, even my very first machine that I had a Singer, and I had to buy my gathering foot separate. But let me tell you, I just love it. I love the gathering foot. It makes it so much easier. Miss Tata, you said I'm still sewing. I only give handmade gifts. My family loves them, and they send me messages and photos. I know that's right. I want to be like you next year. Handmade gifts for everybody. I'm going to plan that more in advance. And I'm going to show you what this looks like too, so you could see what it looks like. The other reason why I like the gathering foot is because it just makes everything so even automatically. I think it just saves you a step, honestly. I think it saves you a step. And when it comes to sewing, I'm all about things that make it easier to sew. And you know, I do believe that it's good to know the traditional way. So when there's an alternative way, you know that way also, so that again, something might happen to my gathering foot, and I don't want to not be able to do it. So I'm so glad that I do know the other way as well. Yeah, I thought about doing some handmade gifts this year, but the timing just did not allow that to happen at all. Because I figure a lot of times, you know, my family and friends ask me to sew for them, and I don't, because sewing is my thing, and I like to keep it sacred. So it's how I decompress. Now, I will teach somebody all day long everything I know, and not that I'm an expert, but that's my favorite. I love to teach. But as far as like doing some commission work and getting paid to sew, yeah, that's just not my thing. Now, I do want to make a pattern, and I'm in the midst of taking pattern making academy. So because I'm excited about that as well. Hi, let me see. Hi, Lavette. Welcome. So you said I'm retired now, so I have lots of time. Yeah, look, I would love to be able to do it. I'm gonna still make that, Miss Tata. I'm gonna still make that as a goal for next year. I'm gonna still make it as a goal to do a handmade item. I just need to think of what can I do quickly? What can I do that could be good for whether you're a man or a woman? Yeah, I need to think about it. Yes, Rochelle, I'm excited about, look, I had a goal to do the Pattern Making Academy. Like my goal was to push through and literally knock it out while I was off this 2 weeks. That did not happen, but I'm excited about what I've done so far. Oh, you say you're taking it right now. You're so behind because I just decided to start. Right, to start 2 months ago. Well, look, Rochelle, we are in the same place. I bought it 2 months ago. Well, let me see. I bought it in September, into September. So we are in the same place. And look, I already have designed my pattern. Like, I'm so excited about it. Well, let me say this. I started like taking all these inspirations and pulling the pieces that I, want to put into like a pattern. So I already have in my mind like what I want. And now I just got to figure out how to make it, and most importantly, make it for all sizes. Hey, Carm. Thank you. Okay, so we have finished literally one side of the dress, the ruching, and let me just show you. So this is the cover piece, so you can see it is very long. So what I'm going to do to help kind of demonstrate it is I'm going to put it on the dress form, so you can kind of see a little bit how it looks. But if you could see how they're so even. If you could see that, I don't know if you could see it or not, but you will definitely see it when I finish the other side, because I'm going to pin it up here and you'll see how they just kind of drape across the side. But yes, I've done the what do you call it? The gathers all for one side so far. Let's see. Yeah, we are definitely in the same boat when it comes to that. Let me see. So you said neckties, small makeup bags, zipper pouches make great gifts. Yes. And pajamas. Yes. Make great gifts. I totally agree. Thank you for all of those ideas. Pajamas, definitely, because I'm a person that likes for us to wear matching pajamas. One year I got everybody matching pajamas. And it would be so nice if I could just get some fabric and maybe in like over the summer, towards the end of the summer, just start cranking it out one at a time. So we'll see. I definitely want to do it. It's like high on my list of things that I want to do. And how awesome would it be that everybody could kind of look forward to, like, oh, mom's going to make this, gift, or we're going to get this gift from mom, this handmade gift every year. Like, I would love that. I'm such a traditions kind of person too. So that is right in line with how I like to do things. Is anybody going to see Color Purple? Because let me tell you something. I done picked all my stuff out. I have in my mind what I'm doing for my pattern that I want to make. But Fantasia, she has been like, I've saved every picture that I see of her. I've saved it. I got a whole catalog of nothing but pictures of her, because I'm like, girl is killing it out here. If you haven't seen a picture of her doing her press tour, she is lighting those things. I mean, come on. She said, I may have played silly in The Color Purple, but what you're going to remember is that was just an act, because, baby, she showed up in every way. I'm like looking across my screen and Googling her because I want to see what she's wearing next, because she just looks so good. And I think what makes me feel like so good about it is that she's not a little teeny person. She's got, she's got the curves and everything. And so it just goes to show, like, you could look, it doesn't matter what size you are. You don't have to be like super thin and still can be rock, really nice looks that make you look so beautiful, so sexy, so elegant, so classy. Like, she's been has so many different looks. Anyway, I am clearly obsessed. She is like my new favorite person. And just has given me, so I'm like so inspired by her looks. Like I said, I got a whole new catalog of pictures of nothing but her. And I'm like thinking, I might have to rethink all of what I'm doing, because she just has stole the scene. Fantasia is killing the movie. Yes. Oh, it's sold out. Yeah, I'm sure that The Color Purple is sold out. Rochelle, did you get any tickets, or you haven't been able to get any tickets? Let's see. I once made pajamas for each of my siblings' household. You said I won't do that again. Okay, tell me about that. Was that like, was it too much? Yeah, she is definitely setting the runway on fire. Fire. Like, somebody call the fire truck, because homegirl is like tearing it up. You said you have Christmas. Yeah. So let me see. Somebody else I know is going to see it on Christmas Day. Is that the first day it's open, or is it open now? Because you're not the first person that has said to me they're going to see it on Christmas Day. I definitely want to see it. Definitely want to see it. Like, I haven't been to the movies in a minute. I haven't even went to see Beyonce's movie, which I'm sure it's not in theaters anymore, but I was just so busy. But I want to go see this. Oh, Kenya, you said you saw it. It was so good. Oh, okay. So it's out clearly, because Kenya has saw it, and she has, for the record, it is said it's so good. You said Christmas Eve, but midnight view. Well, Kenya said she saw it. She saw it already, and it was so good. So I don't know. I haven't looked at when it's officially out, but I'm sure they're probably doing some previews, because that happens sometimes here, where we will get movies in these small boutique theaters before it's officially out. I think they do that just to drive up, like, talk about it, buzz. Let me see. It was presented early. Oh yeah, to some sororities. I know that's right. Come through, sorority sisters, for getting the movie early. Okay, other side is done. Now I just got to make sure that I got to do the sleeve part. I just want to make sure I do the right part. Okay, so here it is. I'm doing this part. Yes, that is the right part. Don't want to end up doing the wrong part, and then you end up having to take it out. Let's see. You said you saw it on 12/8. Okay. I can't wait to see it. I am definitely going to see it. I might look and see if I can get a ticket on Christmas Day, because I don't have plans specifically. Well, if I wear it on, I'm telling you, if I go on Christmas Day, I'm wearing this dress, and then I might turn around and wear it again on New Year's Eve. Because that is the whole reason why I picked purple. Because I was like, if Fantasia's going around here looking good, I gotta go look good too. Because I am totally inspired. Totally inspired. Okay, so All right, so we have put the gathers in on one side, and I'm just going to use this dress form to show you. You know what? No, let me get my other dress form because I really want you to see. I got a whole lot of whips around here. So I almost feel like I need another dress form because I got so much stuff in motion right now. I'm just going to pin this up so you could just get a feel for how the gathers look. Get a little feel for it. And then I'm going to leave this up while I work on the other side. Again, I did this one in a size 14, so it is going to be a little bit bigger. My hope is that, I don't know, I just feel like it's going to give a little bit of a different look in terms of the gathers. I don't know, but we're going to see. I thought if I make them a little bit, you know, if they're a little looser, they might hang a little bit different. But we'll see, because the best part about being a sewist is that you can always fix something. Look at that. Just look at it already. I'm telling you, like, am I getting too excited? Probably. Okay. Now, this is a size 8. I am closer to a size 12. Well, I'm closer to a size 12 dress form right now. So this is going to come across a little bit looser because it's on a smaller dress form. I just wanted to put that out there. It's going to be a little less gathers on me because it's going to stretch a little bit more because I am closer to a size 12. So this right here is what I look like, more closer to what I look like. So that's why I chose to make it a little bit bigger, because I like this like more ruching effect and less stretched. So I'm hoping that I will get that, but I'm just falling in love with it. Again, it does go all the way down to the floor. So, and I did that intentionally because that's how the dress that we inspired this look, that's how it looks. So if you could get a little feel, I didn't pin it all the way down, but this is kind of how it is looking so far. And then the back will look similar. So let's work on the back. We're going to do the same thing we did to the front, which is, I'm going to put this over to the side so you can see it while I'm working. Which is basically do another row of gathers. Hi, baby. Welcome. Yes, Miss Tata, isn't it? I just love it. And it's saying, wear me on New Year's Eve. It's saying, wear me to see the color purple and, you know, kind of pull from your Fantasia vibe. And I'm totally doing that. Totally doing that. People are gonna be like, who is she? I'll be like, I'm Fantasia's cousin. In my mind. Okay, here we go. Second row, second piece, front or back. I guess this would be the back. We are putting our gathers in. So I don't know. I'm trying to think. I feel like the time to do the traditional gathering method is probably similar to this. I mean, it doesn't take long to put those basting stitches in. So for those that would do a gather and we're thinking like, what do you do? Like when I do my gathering, using a gathering stitch, using a basting stitch, I usually put my machine on 5, my stitch length, on 5. And that gives me a beautiful gather. I mean, it's just sitting there, just sparkling away. It's just sparkling. Let me see. I brought that fabric with no idea what I was going to make. Okay, look, here you go. Here you go, Miss Tata. Like, here you go. I think you can make this. Because you need something to wear to the color purple, too. And we could totally be twins. Totally. So for those that are just hopping on, we are using Simplicity 9789. The top, we're doing view B, but we are using it, we're hacking it to make a Altuzarra inspired dress. And so if you Google Altuzarra, Altuzarra, ruching dress, you will see the dress that looks very looks very similar to this dress. And it is a beautiful dress. And Simplicity posted it on their Instagram page saying, hey, you could use this pattern to totally make this dress. And they were right, 100%. So that is what we're doing. And so right now we are putting the gathers in our cover, which goes over top of the actual dress itself. And you know what else I love about the way this dress is made is that because it has this kind of, I guess it's like a lining really, to this dress, it doesn't matter what this fabric feels like. Although this fabric is also lined, self-lined. But if you had something that was like not self-lined and it was kind of scratchy or something, you don't have to worry because it's not going to really be up against your skin at all. So it's a beautiful mate and it's not really difficult. The hardest part, the longest part is putting all these gathers in, which not hard, I should say long, because I am not doing work. Let's see. That's why you love watching the sew-alongs, because you can see the garment before you cut your fabric. So true. So true. You can not only see, but I try to share like if I have a chance to make a muslin or a mock-up, which I do try to do when I have time, I tell you like what my experience was, because you may think, oh yeah, I could totally do that, or oh, that's going to be a problem for me, or you could figure out I got to modify for this or that. So totally get the benefit of that sew along, so you're not potentially wasting your fabric with something that you don't think is going to be a good fit for you, or you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So you can find out before. I keep saying I'm gonna put my little table in here, and I never do. So how's the visibility? Can you all see me really well? Can you see, let me try to make you get a little bit closer. Can you see the camera really well? Is it like, I'm playing around with lighting a little bit still. I'm not a lighting expert, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But let me know what you think. You said it looks good. Thank you. You say you prefer the view on TikTok. Yeah, you know what? It's so interesting because the every on TikTok it's a little bit different because you have a portrait view, and then on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, you have a landscape view. But then on Facebook and Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, they also have multiple views. They can see the workspace a little bit different, which is why I angle my camera this way for TikTok. So hopefully you get to see just as much. So I appreciate the feedback. Okay, so I'm on the other side now, doing the gathers on the other side. Let's see. Hi, Monica. Welcome. Yes. So this dress on the dress form, for those that are just joining, so this is the muslin that I did earlier. And if you were on my socials, you saw me kind of post some of the prep of me making this. And this is what we are making again today. So what you see here on the muslin is just the first side, the first outer cover. I just pinned it up so you can kind of get a feel for. I did a little bit of a larger size, so I did a size 14 here, just because I wanted to see how the ruching would be impacted versus a size 12. Another difference, just so that you're aware, this dress form is a size 8, so it's going to be a little bit looser on here. I am closer to a size 12, so it's not going to be this loose on me because I'm a little bit bigger than this size 8 dress form. But yes, this is the first cover of what we made, and we're working on the second one right now. Oh, you said you're about to open your fabric from Beglerin. Oh, I'm not sure where that is. I need to Google that. But I'm sure it's beautiful. It sounds like somewhere in India or something. Tell us about, where is that, Monica? France. Okay. You know, I still have all that fabric. I know I said I promised you I was going to go through all the fabric that I bought. And you just reminded me, Monica, like I went to Bali and Malaysia and Singapore, and I bought fabric in every single place that I was at, and it's still sitting over there packed up, unopened. I bought some silk that was super expensive that I don't know if this is, I always hear people talk about like fear of cutting into your fabric. I have a fear of cutting into this fabric because it was so expensive. I don't know what I'm going to make. And somebody said to me, you'll know when it'll hit you. You'll know when you know, and you will not hesitate to cut the fabric because you'll say, that's the fabric that I want to make this look. I haven't had that feeling yet. So it's still sitting. All the fabric is still sitting over there. I will tell you that in Malaysia, not Malaysia. Yes, Malaysia. When I was in Malaysia, I went to some fabric shops and they had very, 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 very inexpensive fabric. For example, I brought power mesh and it was $1 a yard. Power mesh. And they had like every single color, every shade, not just like variations of, they had so many colors. So I thought, oh my goodness, like I could literally just go here with an empty suitcase, and I did, by the way, and just bring back nothing but fabric. They just had so much fabric, and it was so inexpensive. You said the view is great. Thank you, Miss Tata. You said it's cheaper to purchase fabric in the Middle East. Yes, I can imagine, because let me tell you, it was very, very expensive. That fabric in Malaysia was very, and they had so much fabric. So much. I mean, it reminds you, like their fabric district, you could walk outside and it was like windows. And when you look, you're outside, but you're looking into these tall buildings and it's like nothing but rolls of fabric. Same thing. When I was in Bali, they had like some silk stores, and it was just silk everywhere. Now, the stores that I went in, they said they import their silk because they don't have the woman power or whatever, the bandwidth, I guess, to make it. So they import it from China. But when they import the silk, but they dye it and put their own print, their own batik print design on it. You said, Rochelle said, I purchased fabric in Qatar, and like LaShawn said, it was dirt cheap. Yes, they had so much inexpensive fabric there. I have to share the fabric. I got so much fabric. I need to do that one day. I just need to sit down and do it because it's beautiful. We are almost done with the ruching, believe it or not. We're down to the last little section. And let me see, what does this pattern go to? Okay, and then I just need to do the arm piece, the shoulder, arm shoulder piece, which is right here. Just make sure. Yep. Okay, so I just need to do this little piece, and then we will be, I guess it takes a couple of washes of this to get the glitter from everywhere, but it's a lot of glitter everywhere. Everywhere is glitter. So if you do plan on using this fabric, just know one wash is not enough to get rid of the glitter. It helps, but it will not get rid of it. Okay, here we go. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we are now, we have just finished. Oops. We have just finished creating or doing the back piece. And I'm just going to pin this because we have to work on, we're going to work on the actual dress part of it. So I'm just going to do a quick pin just so you could see. Just a quick pin. I'm not going to pin the whole thing because we are literally going to be pinning this to our dress very shortly. But it just gives you a little feel for how it looks. Okay. So now you can kind of see a little bit how it looks like. This will all be, you know, stitched together, but you get a little bit of a feel. I don't have it all the way pinned, but just enough so that you can see. Okay, so now that we have done that, it tells us to actually stitch the shoulders of our overlay, so that this is the overlay. So the next step is that we are going to stitch the shoulders of our overlay together, and then we are going to stitch the front and back of piece number 1, which is this piece. So I just did that little bit of pinning, but we're going to obviously take it off now because we need to stitch those shoulder pieces together. I like pinning it to the dress form to give you like a feel for how it looks along the way, but I also like it because I like to give myself a feel for how it looks. And then of course my little piece got stuck in here. There we go. So we're going to do right sides together. I'm gonna have to use a different pen because it keeps getting stuck in this fabric. And what I'm not going to do is put a hole in my fabric. Okay, so that's one piece, and I'm going to take this one out. It's going to be so beautiful. I cannot wait to try it on for you. Come on, don't get stuck. All right, I got one single needle in here pen that I got to get out. Here we go. I brought these pens, like these drafting, what do you call it? Pattern baking, like pens where you pin stuff to your dress form. But it's been getting stuck on, not just this fabric, another fabric. So I like them because they're super sharp, but they have that little loop at the top and they get stuck through the fabric. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I am laying this down right sides facing. I'm doing step 4 in this, which is basically pinning the front to the back of the overlay, which is where we put the gathers, just at that shoulder seam. So there is a notch, and I'm just going to pin my notch together. I'm going to take off my foot and put my regular foot back on. I probably should have used clips too. You say you like quilting pins better. Yeah, are these, let me show you these ones that I got, which I really like because they're super sharp, but I don't like them because, I don't know if you can see that, but it has that little the fabric gets stuck in that. But I like them because they're super sharp. They go in really easy to the dress form. So I'm gonna have to look up quilting pins because I like a sharp pin. And okay, so now I have pinned this together. This is the shoulder. Right sides are facing, and I'm going to do 5/8 of an inch stitch right across the top after I change out my gathering foot. And so for those that were interested in seeing, this is my gathering foot. And I think most of them look really close to this. Might not be exactly the same, but very close to that. At least the one that I had for my Singer machine did look very similar to that. All right, 5/8 of an inch, matched my seams, right sides together. Oops, and let me change my foot, which is a 10. All right, there we go. All right, so we have done that. And now we are going to put this to the side for a minute. Put this to the side, and we're going to pull out our piece number 1. And we are also going to do right sides together, and we're going to stitch them together at the shoulder seam. And so I'm just going to make sure. Okay, that's the wrong side. So here we go. Also have to just be a little careful when you're pinning this because it's so stretchy that you can easily, you know, stretch it out. So I'm saying that as I'm have it kind of draping on the floor a little bit, I could feel it pulling out of shape. So here we go. Do that. Here we go right here. So this right here is just the shoulder seam. Let me just hold it up so you can see it. And it has a notch in it so you can match your notches. Again, right sides together. Yes. I don't know, is that right sides or wrong sides together? Oh, that's wrong sides together. Okay, let me do this again. Okay, that's the right side, and this is the, okay, here we go, right sides together. I gotta look at the way direction of the grain of the fabric. That's how I can tell. Yes, okay. Which is the right side, which is the wrong side. Okay, so I'm pinning this, and then I'm gonna do the exact same thing, which is do a straight stitch across 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Right across the shoulder edge. And you do have a notch there that you can match up. Thank you, Miss Alethea. Yeah, this color is color purple color. It's New Year's, a little bit of New Year's, a little bit of sparkle, but a little bit of color purple. Because I will get 2 wears out of this dress. So this, I feel like, so I've made 4 dresses. This is dress number 4. And I was like, which one of these dresses is going to be the New Year's Eve dress? This is it. This is the dress. You have to tell me what you think once I try it on for you and when you see the final dress looks. Like, you will have to tell me what you think is the ultimate dress that has won. Like, this is the New Year's Eve dress. This is the dress that you walk into a room and you just like have the Fantasia effect. That's what I'm gonna call it, the Fantasia effect, because she's been a showstopper, like always beautiful, but her looks have just been, oh my goodness. Whoever is her stylist, get them a raise. Give them a raise and let them start teaching others, because we all need a class in that. Okay, shoulder seam is together. And now what it is telling us is it is telling us to stitch. It says with right sides together, we're going to pin the overlay to the top just at the neck edge. So remember that edge that we did not gather? That is where we're going to be connecting. We are going to be connecting our overlay to the actual dress itself. So this is the actual dress, and the glittery one that we put all of the gathers in is the overlay. And so we have to do it right sides together. So I feel like the easier way to do this is for me to, I think this is what I did when I did the other one, to lay this down on top of here. Of course you're stuck on there, because why would you not be? Okay, there we go. Is to lay the overlay here, and then to take this, I'm sorry, lay the dress there, and then to take the overlay and let's see. because it's right sides together. And lay it on top of there just like that. The seam right in the middle. Because it's so long. And let's start pinning. So I'm going to take this end to this end and just match it up. And I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to pin it because you just are dealing with so much fabric here. And then you could always go back and make some adjustments if you need to. And I'm actually I think I'm gonna get some clips. So give me 1 second. I feel like the clips will make it so much easier to let me just see. Let me see if I can bring this in a little bit so though you could see a little bit better. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so I'm just holding this out and I'm going to start clipping because this is the part that we are going to be stitching right sides together, and then we're going to also do an understitch to this because we don't want that other piece kind of peeking out underneath. So I'm just going to pin this, and then I'm gonna clip it, and then I'm gonna pin it over here so I can hold it in place. There we go. And now I'm just going to line up and clip. And this just, I think, makes it a little bit easier to clip it versus trying to lay all this fabric out. I figured out ways to use these dress forms, make it easier for me, not just to style my clothes on it or see how it looks, but also to use it when I'm sewing to help me. So I'm just lining up those raw edges. Hi, Miss Alethea again. Yes, Booger Bookie, let me tell you, that is the truth. Her stylist niece, like, has been killing it, okay? Like, we all want Fantasia stylists. If I ever have an opportunity to need a stylist, I'm gonna be like, who was that person that did Fantasia? That's the person I need. Like, that person is probably booked and busy after this. And they should be, and they should be. Okay, so I am just clipping around that front part. And we are also doing the same thing with this back piece. So this is the other piece that we did not gather. So that's really where we're focusing on the pieces that we did not gather. And we are clipping them. So I'm just going to pin this over here just as a placeholder. So right sides together. I'm also matching this seam to the seam here too. Got to be careful to make sure that this, so the only thing about, negative thing about, or thing you want to be mindful of, like in this case, this is stretchy fabric. You don't want to pull it too much. And it's also quite long. But you do have notches. And so as long as your notches are lining up, you know you have not stretched your fabric out of place. Or if you have, you stretched both of the pieces. So you have notches for both your overlay and your actual dress piece. So we are just clipping, lining up those raw edges, clipping this. And then we're going to stitch. That's all of that area that we just clipped. We're going to stitch that and then understitch. Oh yeah, okay. This thing's playing tricks on me. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not usually like a huge purple girl, but, or unless it's a dark purple. This is like an Easter purple to me, but I love it. I love it. And because it has the other effects to it, I feel like it was totally making me feel like I could totally pull off New Year's and pull off the color purple. Okay, so we are now, I have the whole thing clipped, raw edges are lined up. And we are going to, I'm just going to make one little adjustment to this. This is what happens when you're super short. We're going to basically stitch along, and I'm going to show you in 1 second. I just want to make one little adjustment here. Let's see where I can, my notch didn't line up quite on this one. Here we go. Now it is. Now it is. There we go. Come through with the notches being lined up. Okay. So I'm going to unpin this on this edge, and we are going to literally stitch together the overlay to the dress, right sides together. I'm going to stitch right along here, all the way up, and go across the top of the shoulder and back down to this other end. And then I'm going to understitch, stitching the raw or the seam allowance onto the dress part, because that's the part that you are not going to see. The overlay is going to be the outside. So that is what we're doing right now. We are stitching all across that top part, and then we're going to understitch. So I'm going to move this over, and we're going to the sewing machine, people. Let me see. Thank you so much for the roses, the likes, and the gifts. I appreciate you all. And happy Friday, Friday before Christmas. Hopefully you all are enjoying this holiday season with your family, taking time to spend with them. It's not all about the gifts. In fact, it's not ever about the gifts. It's about the time that you get to spend with the people that you love. So remember that. Remember that. Okay, 5/8 seam allowance, and we are, here we go. Here we go. Let's do the work. I am so excited about this dress. I got to go get my shoes, because you know shoes is magic. Yes, Miss Alethea, look, that's what I tell my kids. I take this time and like to really just make it fun for them. We're all so busy. Everybody's like, you know, doing their own thing most of the time. But this is the time where we could come together and play games and just really eat food, eat good, play games, and enjoy each other. We have so much fun, we don't even be thinking about gifts. Well, I guess I speak for myself. I don't know if we think about gifts or not, but I'm not thinking about gifts. And hopefully they're not either. My kids are on. Are my kids on? Tell me. Okay, we are just going across the shoulder and we're going down the other side. Hi, Anna. Merry Christmas to you. Welcome. So glad to see you on. I always appreciate your support. Yes, look, Miss Alethea, I'm so looking forward. This is my grandson's first Christmas. So I know I talked about it's all about the family, and it truly is. But I did get him this toy, which I can't wait to play with him. I'm sure he's going to use it in other ways in which it's than what it's intended to be used. But I'm here for it all because he is just exploring his whole new little world, and I'm excited about that. Okay, so the last little piece. Okay, so we have now stitched the, we've stitched this whole part together. We stitched this underline with the dress part, which you can't really see. We stitched that all around here from the front to the back. And now we are going to do an understitch. And the understitch is really important because it's going to make sure that this purple fabric does not peek out at the top. It's going to keep it laying flat and just keep it underneath. So you literally are not going to see this purple fabric at all. If we do things the way we're supposed to do things, then if it all works out, then you're not going to see it. So what we're doing right now is we are taking this seam allowance, this part right here. We are taking this part. Let me see. We're taking this part and we are going to be stitching it onto, we got to open it up, open up our piece, open up our dress, separate it, and we're going to be stitching the seam allowance onto this purple dress on the wrong side of it. So that is what we're about to do now. We're going to go under the sewing machine and we're going to stitch around. Oops, what did I do? There we go. I did something. Let me see. Clear. I done hit something on my sewing machine. I don't know what I did. Well, let's see what happens when I start sewing. So I have my edge foot on. Are you looking at this? Let's see. I have my edge foot on and I'm just going to move my, what's happening there? Okay, well, let's see. So I move my edge foot over to like -3 so that it's to the left of my needle. And that's going to help me keep a, well, that's not what we want. We want this. Okay, let's see. I did something, and I don't know what I did. And it's not clearing. Let me see. No, that's not what I want. I want my regular stitch. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, well, I did something to my sewing machine, and I don't know what I did. It's got this funky stitch on here. That is not the stitch I want. It's like doing every third stitch, it's making it go out. Okay, I think I fixed it. All right, let's see. Okay, let's try. Here we go. So when you're putting in your edge stitch, also, you just want to make sure that you pull out, I'm sorry, your understitch, that you pull out your, kind of hold it tight so that you don't have any kind of bunching or anything underneath. And that's what I'm doing as I'm sewing this. I'm just under twisting this around so it doesn't get bunched up underneath of it. All right, we're to the last little part. And I don't know what the stitch was that I did, but it's not too bad. Oh, well, there is a section that I do need to take out. So I don't know, for some reason, when I was stitching this, I hit it with my finger and it went to some kind of crazy looking stitch. So I'm great. I don't know how to get rid of it, but what I do know how to do is turn my machine off and back on. So I'm just going to take out this section so I can fix it back to a straight stitch, because the fabric kind of bunched up in this area. You said you can tell right now this is my New Year's Eve dress. Yes, I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. This is definitely the dress. Yeah, Rochelle, that's what I should have been did. I should have turned it off and turned it back on. I don't know what I hit it with my finger and it did this funky looking stitch. And now I got a seam rip. And I was just saying, I haven't used my seam ripper. See, I jinxed myself. because here we go, using the seam ripper. Here we go. So I'm just going to take off, because what we don't want is this piece peeking out of the top of the dress. We cannot have that. And we won't. There we go. So based on what everyone has saw so far, is anybody going to attempt to make this dress, this, or hack this pattern? I have to see when Simplicity is going back on sale. So, Miss Alita, you have a grandson too that's 6 months. I just love my grandson so much. I just love seeing him grow and try new things and get excited over just the simplest things and laugh and just everything. Just everything. Yes, all eyes on me when I enter the room. I think this is that kind of dress. I'm telling you. I think this is that kind of dress. All eyes on you. So for those that are just joining, we are doing Simplicity 9789 or 9790, depending on which size you have. And we're using view B, which is the top, and we are making it a dress that is inspired by the Altuzarra dress that has all the ruching from top to bottom. It is a beautiful, beautiful dress. And we are making a dress that is inspired by it. And I just, like I said, so many times over, this is, I think right now, takes the cake for my favorite dress of everything that I've ever made. Definitely just, I feel so beautiful in it. And I think what else I like about it is, like I said, I plan on making another version in white to wear on Christmas. And unless I go see the color purple, which I'm going to wear this one, but more of a casual look, because this dress, it is so comfortable. So like I could literally put some heels on, go out to dinner, and then come home and curl up on the couch. And I don't even feel any need to take the dress off. Like I don't feel uncomfortable in it at all. So I thought, I got to make something that's a little bit more casual. So what I'm doing right now is I had a little malfunction in my stitch. So I am taking out some parts of the stitch line, the understitching, so that I can eliminate, you all can see that looks horrible. And that comes from that funky looking stitch that I did. So I'm just taking this out a little bit so that I can quickly fix that. Hey, Khalees. I'm so glad you joined. And I'm so glad you joined on YouTube. Thank you. Okay, so just take out a little bit more. The one thing that's so hard is taking out fabric from knit, because the knit says you put it in, you need to intend it to stay. Otherwise, oh yeah, got a little bit more to take out. So literally once, just to give you, while I'm taking this out, a little preview of next steps is to tell you, because we're not going to be putting the zipper in, the next step once we fix this understitching is really to pin. I'm going to do a basting stitch on each side to baste down the dress, the overlay to the dress, and then we turn the dress right sides facing, and we stitch down the sides, and that is the end. And then, oh, the only other thing is to hem the bottom part of the dress, which I, as you all know, I do offline. But that is literally the next step, the next couple of steps. So when I say that this dress is a fairly quick sew, it really is. You know, you spend most of your time kind of putting in the gathers, even the seam allowance. Oh yeah, that fixed it. I turned my sewing machine on and off, and that literally fixed whatever that funky stitch was. All right, let me just check to see. I got to make sure, like, everywhere where I had that. So I got a little bit more to take out, and then we will be putting this back in and then doing our basting stitch. So anyway, let me look and see. Did somebody say, okay, so Miss Tata said, you're going to try it after the holidays when things slow down. I would love to see it. Thank you, Khalees. I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Look, I tell people all the time, you know, seam ripping is a part of sewing, unfortunately, but maybe fortunate, because look, it could be worse where your fabric is destroyed by mistake. At least we always have the opportunity to fix a mistake. And that's the joy of a seam ripper. It gives you a do-over, a little bit of time and patience, and you get a second chance. I remember I used to hate my seam ripper, like, oh my goodness. And not that I love it now, but my relationship is not as bad as it used to, because I used to use it far more than I use it now. So moving on to another topic really quick. I am also very excited about our sew-alongs for January. Sew-alongs for January, we are going to be doing something a little bit different than we have done in the past, in that we are focusing on PDF patterns. So we're taking a little bit of a step away from the commercial patterns and going to the PDF patterns, just to explore, like, getting people kind of more comfortable with sewing PDF patterns. So I have picked 4 what I believe are beginner friendly PDF patterns, and we're going to spend some time. I'm going to post a couple of videos on, what do you need to know? How do you put your pattern pieces together? What are some tips for that? What are some things you can use to make it easier to cut out, the actual pattern pieces? And for those that are not familiar, the PDF patterns are the ones that you print out on your printer or you pick up from the print shop, and then you put them together. Basically creating a big sheet that is usually 5 pages by 5 pages or 25 pages. And then you cut out the individual pattern pieces. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in January. On all of my social media platforms, I have the patterns posted, including links for where to get the patterns. Okay, there we go. Almost there. Got a little bit more. As you could see, almost out. A little bit more. And we have one of the patterns that we're doing is a pattern that I did a tester for the stitch fits. She did a beautiful dress, very beginner friendly. I did pattern testing for that dress, and she's given us a 30% off coupon for her pattern. And so I have the link to that. Oh, where do I have it on YouTube? I don't have it on YouTube. I need to put it on there, but it's in the bio of in any of the other platforms. It's in my bio, the link to that. So if you're interested in sewing that dress or any of the other ones, I definitely would encourage you to hop on and watch some of the videos that I'm going to post starting next week. That just really help to shed light on how to do a PDF pattern if you're interested. I remember when I first started sewing, it wasn't something that I was excited about because I didn't really understand all of the pieces of it. And now I am much more comfortable with the PDF patterns. So I'm excited about that. Taji, you said, I love my seam ripper. I hate messing up. I hate messing up too. But you're right. Like, that's probably the relationship that I have with my seam ripper now, because I can't even imagine what I would be thinking if I had no way to fix that mistake that was just made. Like, it would totally mess up the dress, not give it the look that I wanted to have. And yeah, so you're right. Like, that's really the relationship that I have with my seam ripper. Khalees says seam ripping is the worst when you accidentally put a hole in your fabric. That right there, that part right there, like that's why I don't even use the seam ripper. As you see me, this is not the way that they tell us to use the seam ripper. It's to put this little bulb down. And I do that. I do it when it's fabric that I don't care about. And most of the time I don't have an issue. But when it's fabric that I care about, or something like this where I'm so close to the end, I won't even consider ripping through it the way that they tell us to rip through, because I will probably cry if I make a mistake like that. So what we are going to do is pick this out a couple of stitches at a time, what we call long way, and be happy with it. And that's exactly what we are doing right now, is picking this out a couple of stitches at a time, which I'm sad to do because it's taken a little longer than I thought it would be. But I appreciate all of you being patient with me as I am working through pulling this out so that we could have the beautiful garment that it is meant to be. And I think this might be it. I feel like this is probably it. I just want to make sure that I don't have that bubbling up. Okay, that's out, and that's out. And that's out. All right, one more stitch, and then I'm gonna fix this, put this back in now that I have the right stitching. And this is the other reason why it is so important to pull it tight, because then you don't get this, what happened to me, which is that it was loose at the top, and that was absolutely going to spill over the top of the garment when I was wearing it. So I didn't want that at all. Okay. So we have We are moving on to the next step. Well, almost the next step. Let me just see. I'm about to put this under stitch back in here, but first things first, let me untwist this. Okay, there we go. So what I'm doing now is just, I'm gonna actually stitch it on. Okay, that all looks pretty decent. That does not. But I'm not gonna spend any more time taking that out. Yes, I think what I'm gonna do is, I think I wanna take that whole thing out, but I'm not gonna take it out now because I can take it out later. I'm gonna understitch it later. And what I'm gonna do right now is we are gonna move on to the next step, which is, because the type A person in me wants it to be right, and I see another little part that I want to take out, and I'm not taking y'all down that road with me because we are going to finish this dress in the time that it should be finished, which is quickly. So what we're going to do now, the next step is that we are now going to do a basting stitch. Ooh, it's going to be hard to do that, isn't it? Yes, it is. All right. Okay, let me just take this other piece. I realize now if I put that stitch in and stitch this together, it's going to be forever for me to take that out to get this other little part out. And I don't want to do that. This is the hard part of sewing on live. Sometimes your mistake takes time. Whereas if you're not sewing on live, you just kind of like push through and do it. All right, there we go. Okay, I think I got it. So let me see, how is that going to be? I just want to make sure it's not, okay. Let's see. Hi, Rachel. You said we have all ripped right 70 billion times. Thank you. Yes. I know I wish I would have just cut my machine off and back on and called it a day, but I didn't. I was like still trying to like push through. And as a result, it stitched this little funky stitch in here, and it created this like bubble effect that I know is going to like push up on the front side, and I do not want that doing that. So I'm like, no. See, look, if you can only use your seam ripper the way it's supposed to, I'm always so scared to do it, but it does work. See how quickly that came out, just like that. And that's from me using the seam ripper the way it's supposed, you know, the way we all supposed to use it, but always nervous to do because who wants to rip a hole in their fabric? Not me. Okay, that's out. That's out. That's out. Okay, here's another little piece. Look at that. Okay. Oh, that looks so good. Okay, I thought I had a lot, but it's... So I'm just taking out this other little piece. Thank y'all for hanging in there while I'm taking this out. Here we go. You say you don't want to rip it with the red ball on delicate fabrics and those you pick out. Right, right. Look, I always, to your point, Rachel, like I rarely ever put that red bulb at the bottom. It when I don't care about the fabric, when I shouldn't say when I don't care about, when I'm less concerned about the fabric, then I will do it the way that we all know, which is take that red bulb and I'm gonna be honest with you, like knock on wood, I have not really had any situations where I have ripped a hole in when I do it. I'm very careful though, but I'm much more aggressive than what you see right now. I'm not picking it stitch by stitch. And it is so much faster to do it that way. It just like you could just take out so much big sections all at once. Okay. All right. So I have pretty much removed the entire understitch from here. It is out. Thank y'all for being patient while we did that. This is a team effort and we did it together. And I appreciate each one of you for hanging in there while we did that. Here's another little piece. I am so like, that little time it could have took me to shut my machine down and turn it back on. I should have definitely did that. Okay. That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. It's just this little piece right here. I don't know what that stitch was that it was doing, but it was something funky. All right. Okay. It is out. Everywhere where it was bubbling up, it is out. So you don't have to worry about that. That is done. Now, I was going to skip that step of understitching it. The problem is because we are going to stitch those side seams closed, there's really no way for me to go back. So it's a now or never kind of situation where we have to, do the understitching. And the understitching does make a difference because, like I said, you don't want that purple bubbling up at the top. So we do need to do the understitching. So like I said before, I'm using my edge stitch, but I'm putting my stitch on 3 so that it pulls it over a little bit. And I'm stretching it taut underneath the needle. And we're gonna make it really taut so that it does not have that bubble, which what we saw before. And a good understitch looks so good every time. And I know because I just did it on this one. And we are more than halfway done with the understitching. And I think that's it. All right, just like that, we are done with the understitching. And that is so much better. Okay, there we go. So we salvaged it. Salvaged the understitching. And we'll have a better dress because of it. So now the next step. The next step is to take our dress and our overlay and base stitch it together down the sides. But first, I'm going to use this dress form just to help me, because like I said, this is a lot of fabric. It's a lot. The overlay is really long. It's 100 inches. And the dress is like 50 something inches, 54. So it's a lot. So to make sure that we are having everything lined up, I use this dress form to help me. Let me just, there we go. To help me make sure it's all lined up. And then I'm gonna clip it, and then we're gonna base stitch it first. And then we'll stitch down both sides. So I'm just lining up those shoulder seams. I'm going to use a pin to pin this over just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take and this is my underarm piece, and I'm going to find my underarm piece here under my gathered piece, and I'm going to match those up. And I'm going to clip. Same thing on this side. I'm just going to match up those raw edges. And I'm going to clip it. Yeah, definitely so glad we took the time that we took and seam ripped that and fixed it, because you can already see how it's hidden under there. It's not peeking out at all. It's nice and hidden. And that's what we want. We don't want that purple sticking out, because we put too much work into this dress to have that just be sticking out as we're walking around. So that was worth the time spent, but hopefully you don't have to spend time doing any kind of seam ripping. So again, we're just going down the side, matching up those raw edges. And clipping so that we can create this basting stitch all the way around and down. And then the next step will be to turn it inside out, the whole dress inside out, or right sides together facing. And then we're going to stitch them down the side. And that is, the dress is done. This basting stitch just helps because, again, we have so much fabric that we need to, that we're dealing with this dress. I found the basting stitch to be very helpful in keeping all the fabric pieces together. So the lining is a knit. It is just a regular knit. It's not ITY, and it's not Ponte. It's just a regular knit. So I'm going to put this up here on this table. And I'm doing the same thing, just matching up this. So I don't have to bend down to the floor. I'm putting it up to the top. Yeah, and this knit is so comfortable. It's so soft and comfortable. Like I'm gonna love this against my skin. It gives it like an athleisure kind of feel to this dress because it's so soft and comfortable on the inside. Let's see. I'm cutting circle shirts here with you. Well, I appreciate you doing that. Thank you, Rachel. So anyone having, I know I ask this every time, but I'm always curious. Anyone have any New Year's Eve or Christmas plans where you're getting dressed up and wearing something that you made? You said you made yours in purple too. I want to see it. I want to see it, Tydree. So did you make a dress? Did you make the dress or did you make the shirt or the pants of this pattern? Because I remember you saying you made it too. If anyone makes this, please tag me. I'm curious to see like what your fabric choice is and how it looks. What I love about sewing is that two people can take the same pattern and end up with a completely different look. And that's like one of my favorite parts. My other favorite part is the fact that this fabric, just like that, the overlay and the lining, the dress part match up perfectly in terms of the length. Okay, so one side is all clipped, and now I'm going to do this other side. And I'm doing literally the same thing, which is I'm just lining up the raw edge, lining up that raw edge, and then I'm going to just take the clip and just go down and clip it. And the time that we take to do this step, it really does make it that much easier when we are turning this to the other side and sewing those seams together. Definitely makes it much easier, because you're going to just be able to just go right down the side. And like the other side, I'm going to put it up on the counter because it will make it easier to clip these. So we're going, let me see, what are we? We're about 2 hours in, maybe an hour 45 in terms of sewing. Had we not had the seam rip issue, you could totally do this dress, even with all these other steps, in 2 hours after you cut your fabric. So if anybody's thinking like, oh, I wonder how long it takes. Yeah, I totally think this is a 2 hour dress to make. Maybe even a little less. Once you kind of have done it once, you know, or you have a good feel. And this sew along might give you that feel for like, okay, here are all the things I have to do. And when I do this, I am going to use a basting stitch, so it'll be a really quick sew in terms of putting, basting the lining to the fabric, or to the overlay, I should say, dress to the overlay, lining to the fabric. I'm kind of using those terms interchangeably. I'm also making sure that I'm not stretching it out, because it's so, both of these fabrics are pretty stretchy. So I'm trying to make sure I'm not overly stretching it, because especially the knit, it's so easy to stretch. Like this side is a little bit more stretched, but then the other side, because as I was clipping it, I was probably pulling on it a little bit. Okay, but I think I got it. All right, there we go. So we have this all lined. So front side is done, clipped. I'm going to do the back side now, because one of the things I like to do is I like to just clip it all and then sew it all. And then we are moving on to the next step. All right. So I'm just putting that pin in just to hold it. And same thing on this side. This is my underarm piece. So I'm looking for my underarm, the little edge from my gathered piece. And I'm clipping those two so that they are lined up. That's my starting point. And then I'm just going down, lining up those raw edges. Hey, Shem. How are you? Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Happy Friday. Yes, this is our New Year's Eve. I think officially this is the dress, but this is also the color purple dress. So I was saying earlier, Fantasia has inspired us all to go see the color purple in our best. So I feel like this dress is only worthy of going to see the color purple and wearing it for New Year's Eve. Why? Because we should wear these kind of things more than once, more than twice, every chance we get kind of vibe, you know. I'm all about normalizing wearing beautiful dresses more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, regularly. Okay, so I am. Did my camera go out? Here we go. Here we go. Okay. I don't know why that's doing that, but okay. Well, one of my cameras is acting a little weird, but we'll make it. Okay, so I'm clipping this on, overlay to the dress. Lining up the bottom. making sure I don't have my knit too stretched out, which I feel like it might have been. So I'm just realigning it a little bit. There we go. All right, one more side to go, and then we'll be able to put that basting stitch in. All right, I'm gonna turn this around and same thing, just clip. So you said, Khalees, you made so many outfits, but you only wore one. You got to start wearing your outfits. Did you wear the outfit that I gave you yet? I think that would look so cute on you. Did you even try it on? Because I was so excited to see how you would look with that outfit. Like, I feel like you could wear it Christmas Eve so I could see it. Although it might be a little too cold for it though. Okay. Couple more clips and we'll be ready to put our basting stitch in. Oh, you said it fits perfectly. Well, I haven't seen it. Can you at least take it up to send me a picture with what it looks like? Please. Like, do a little mini photo shoot so I can post some pictures to my Instagram. Oh yeah, I know. That's why I said after I thought about it, I was like, that's probably not. It's probably too cold for that, and it's cold. It's very cold outside right now. Okay, a couple more clips, and we are putting our basting stitch in. Okay, so we have the whole thing clipped, and now we are getting ready to put our basting stitches in. So we are down to the wire. So I'm just going to drape this over my shoulder to make it a little easier and a little lightweight because it is a lot of fabric, as you can see. So we are literally, I'm going to turn this to 5, and this is right sides facing out. Is what we're doing. We've clipped this all together, and now we are going to be doing a basting stitch all the way down. And I do it in the seam allowance. So here we go. And actually, I'm going to put it on 4 instead of 5. There we go. Oop. And I got to make sure I go back. Also want to make sure you don't get your fabric stuck under. So give yourself a little. All right, there we go. All right, let's make the magic happen. And key thing is to just make sure your raw edges stay lined up. Yep, there we go. It is moving right along. Hi, Kim. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hopping on. Hi, Auntie Carol. Yes, this is the color purple / New Year's Eve dress. We're down to our final, couple of steps. I'm doing a basting stitch, basting the overlay onto the lining or the dress part. And then we're going to be stitching it all together. So I'm just continuing to go through this, making sure that my raw edges stay lined up and I don't have any bunching underneath. So from that perspective, you can't just keep going. It does take a little bit of time to keep checking, but it's worth it in the end. It is definitely worth it. So Auntie Carol, what are you doing for New Year's? He said, my current fabric is very similar shade of purple. It's so pretty. Yes, this you know what? I feel like this is like an Easter Sunday kind of purple, or it's at least in that family, but I didn't have Easter Sunday when I was thinking of it. That definitely did not come to my mind. I think all the sparkles kind of put me in the framework of like, this is going to be an attention grabber for like New Year's Eve, which is my goal, because I can't wait to say, yes, I made this dress. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of my sewing journey. I want to talk about it every chance I get and hopefully inspire other people to sew, to start sewing. I feel like sewing is that one skill that everybody should be able to do. At least a little bit. You don't have to be like an expert, but Oh, you said you going to dinner and then hanging with BSN. I know that's right. So for those that don't know, BSN is doing a New Year's Eve kind of thing. So if you don't have other plans, definitely think about bringing in the new year with the Black Sewing Network family. It will be a great time. Is it on TikTok, Auntie Carol? Or is it a little bit of everywhere? All right, one side done. And go to the other side. So Auntie Carol said, Julian is going to host 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, Julian. Julian, so you're going to be on TikTok. Okay, so for those that are interested, Black Sewing Network will be on TikTok. Julian is hosting the New Year's Eve party event. You don't want to miss it. If you don't have plans, now you have plans. That's all I'm saying. If you don't have plans, now you have plans. So consider going on TikTok New Year's Eve. (9 p.m. Eastern Time. Julian is hosting. Julian, you did it last year, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, you did last year. You did, yes. I remember, because I remember kind of logging on a little bit when I was watching fireworks, and I might do that too when they pop, because I will be where the fireworks are. Can you see this? Oh, you can. Okay. So I'm just sewing on the overlay to the dress fabric, lining up those raw edges, and I'm doing a basting stitch, because the very next step will be to turn this inside out, or right sides facing is the sewing way of saying it. So we can stitch it together. So it takes a little bit of time here because you want to make sure you don't have any bunching. But it moves fairly quick. You just keep doing little sections at a time. Make sure you stay in your seam allowance when you're putting your basting stitch in. It's so crazy because the dress, the first dress that I made, the muslin dress, it's not that much shorter, but this one definitely feels so much longer than that dress. I mean, this one goes to the floor, that one goes to my ankle. But those couple more inches really feel so like this is so much more fabric that I'm managing with this. Okay, everyone's still there. All the platforms are still there. Thank you, Instagram, for hanging in there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there. Okay, we are, let me see. Got a little bit left on this side. And we will be done. I think this was the front side. Let's see. You had a time last year. Yeah, it was. I mean, I wasn't on the whole time, but it definitely was a whole vibe and it was great. I mean, I love seeing the whole everybody. It's like we're all like a little mini family, you know, united by our love for sewing and crafting. And it was just great. It was great. So I definitely hope that my plan is to hop on for a little bit. I'm going to be out and about, but I think that's the plan anyway. In my dress. Okay. Front side is done. Basting stitch is all the way done. And now I'm going to put this over my shoulder and we are going to move on to the other side of this fabric. So I'm going to start this way. Here we go. Again, just doing that basting stitch to make it so much easier to keep all the fabric together. When we sew it all together. Now my plan, well not, yeah, I guess it was a little bit of a plan. It was a late plan, was to try to go out of the country for New Year's, but I waited too late and it did not pan out. So I will be local, but not necessarily relaxing at home, which is what I've been doing mostly since the pandemic. But now it's time to get back to getting dressed up and all of that. Why? Because I love to dress up. Even if it's just for a little bit, I don't have to be out all late. By late, I mean the next morning. I'm perfectly fine with being in bed by 12:01. Right after the ball drops. Have no problem with that. Okay, we're making great progress. Making great, great, great progress. So can you all see that? You can. Okay, good. Yeah, just trying to make sure that these raw edges stay lined up, that they're not balled up underneath. That's perfect. The great thing about this basting stitch is it does not have to be neat. It doesn't have to necessarily be a straight line. It just has to be in the seam allowance, and it has to be making sure that you didn't have any bunching underneath. All right, there we go. That's done. One side, one more side to go, and then we will be, oh, yep, one more side to go. And we will be ready to stitch the front to the back. So like where this, there's a couple of parts where it's kind of stretched out a little bit more. So I'll just be clipping that off once I sew it all together. Because it's hard not to overstretch this fabric. It happens despite your best effort to not stretch it, it does. This is the last side. Okay. Thank y'all for hanging in there. Not 12:01. Yes, 12:01. Look, I don't have to be up all night long. The action happens all the minutes leading up to 12:01. Once 12:01 hits, look, I've done everything I came to do. I've been worn my dress. I dressed up. I've chatted with people. I've seen everybody that I, need to see, and said Happy New Year 1,000,001 times. Look, by 12:01, I'm making my way to the car. And have had a great night. All right, maybe not 12:01, maybe 12:15. I'll be so happy. You won't hear no complaints out of me. Not a single one. Not a single one. Okay. We are getting close. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's any way around. Right, exactly, Rachel. Here for a good time and not a long time. That's my motto when it comes to going out at night. I am not a late night person. And by that, I mean, I'm not like a person that's going to be out all late at night, going to parties, clubs, or anything like that. I like to socialize, but the later it gets, the less. Make sure. All right, I wanted to make sure I didn't have any extra fabric underneath. That's a great thing about this being a basting stitch. You can just clip it out real quick and keep it moving. Yeah, so I don't have to be out all night. I'm not a party person. I will go to a party, but I don't have to be there. Like Rachel said, a good time, but not a long time. And that right there couldn't be closer to the truth. Yeah, that's the main thing. If you do this dress, you definitely have to take your time when you're doing these basting stitches, because that ruffling will get all bunched up under there, and you don't want that to be messed up when you are putting your final dress together. Although it's easy to fix because you have a basting stitch and you could just pop a couple of those stitches and keep it moving. But why you don't have to do it, then why do it if you don't have to? Just taking a little extra time. And just like that, we're doing the last little bit of stitching, basting this together. Okay, so we have basted all the pieces together, and now we are going to use our dress form again to help us pin the right sides together, or at least for one of the sides. So we're going to take this and we're going to turn it on the wrong side facing out. And we're just going to take one of the sides and we're going to pin it to each other. And let me just, yes. Here we go. This is the final bit. So remember I had mentioned earlier that there were some areas where, you know, the fabric had stretched out. This is one of those areas. So I'm just going to clip off this excess. Same thing happened right here to a lesser degree. I'm just cutting it off. And then I'm going to just clip. So these are the two underarm pieces. You know that because they're pointy. I'm lining those. And I am just clipping. And I'm not going to clip the other side. I'm just going to clip this one side. And I'm literally going to just go right down. And to make this easier, I'm just going to pin this just to hold it in place. Both of these sides. Just holding it in place while I clip these. We are doing it. We're down to the last bit. We've done the heavy lifting, basting all these pieces in place. And now we are just clipping. And so all this little bit of ruffle part, these raw edges will be all, that's all in your seam allowance. That will be unseen. And you probably could take a, you know, after the fact, after you stitch it, I wouldn't do it before, but take a serger and really just clean that up. Let's see what it looks like on that one here. Yeah. It's crazy because it feels like it's going to be bulky, but it's really not. So I'm just continuing to clip down. Okay, one side done, and now I'm going to stitch this. going straight down. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And I'm just going to adjust that back to 2.5, which is my regular stitch length for my permanent stitch. And here we go. And it just sews so much quicker because we did that basting stitch. It makes it so much easier to make sure all your edges stay together, that your ruffles, your gathers aren't folded up inside. I still kind of do a little check in between just in case, but make sure nothing is bunched up. Okay, thank y'all for hanging in there. I appreciate y'all. I want to see this dress just as much as y'all do, honestly. I really do. I really do. All right, we're down to the last piece. And I'm gonna do a back stitch. And we have one side down, done. And so the only thing we need to do is turn to the other side, and we gotta pin the other side, but this time we're not gonna pin it on the dress form because it's easier to just pin it this way because we have 90% of the dress basically done. So we are going to, let me see, camera. Okay. And now I'm just clipping these ends, or you can see this glitter is everywhere, even after a good wash. So hopefully the next time it gets washed, it'll be a little less glittery. Okay. Just moving this stuff out the way so you can see what I'm doing, which is just clipping this all together. So this dress is, there's a lot of like little, not difficult steps, but things that take a little bit of time. But I wouldn't say it's an overwhelming amount of time, honestly. I will tell you that this, the primary fabric, the glittery fabric, it is heavier than this fabric. This fabric is a lot thinner. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a different look. Definitely, I feel like this look, besides the fact that it's glittery, is going to be much more dramatic. Whereas this one, you'll see when I post my pictures of me wearing it, it is, I mean, it's very beautiful, but it's not as dramatic, like, but it's beautiful still, nonetheless. I like it anyway. Okay, let's see. And like I said, the only other thing that I will do, which I'm not going to do on camera, is hem the bottom of the dress. I will do that off camera. All right, here we go. So we've gotten it all clipped up, and I think we are all but ready to do a straight stitch from the underarm section to the bottom of the dress. And then we're going to try it on. My sewing machine is talking to me like, you need to clean me out. I think I need to get a little backup machine. I've been talking about it for a while. Julian made some recommendations to me, and I think it's time for me to push that button just so I can give this machine a little break, and also probably get it like serviced a little bit, because I've had it for a year now, just a year, but I use it, as you all know, I sew regularly, I use it all the time. So it's probably time for it to be serviced. So I'm gonna pick one of those machines out of the list. that Julian gave me, and let this one get a good professional cleaning and service. All right, down to the last little bit. Says what pattern? Oh, so I am working on, so this is Simplicity 97, sorry. Yeah, 9789 or 9790, depending on your sizing. But we are doing just view B, and we're doing a hack of view B to make it into a dress, which is, here is a mock-up that I did of the dress. And this is a dress that's inspired by the Altuzarra dress. So a couple months ago, Simplicity Creative Group posted on their Instagram page this pattern and that dress, saying, hey, you could totally make a, mock-up or dupe of this dress using this pattern. And I was like, I'm here for it. And that's what we're going to do. So I had no idea. I just knew I loved the dress because I loved like ruching. And I was like, oh yeah, got to do it. So last week I started playing around with it and I thought, oh yeah, this is definitely going to work. And here we are. And we have finished the dress besides the hem. So I'm going to go try this on, but first things first, let me turn it right side out. So this dress is meant to be going all the way to the floor. That's how the actual Altuzarra dress is. It goes all the way to the floor. So I'm going to try this on and I will be right back. There we go. I also will be doing a hem to the sleeve too, but not on camera. So we're going to go try it on. Thank you. And I'll be right back. For everybody that's hung in there, I'll be right back. Oh yeah, this is just gorgeous. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, here we go. We move this out the way. So this is the size 14 dress. Definitely, I can tell it's a little bit looser in terms of the dress, and it does go down longer. I don't know if you can see this as well, but it goes down all the way to the ground, but with the heels, it doesn't drag. So I see the purple is hanging out at the bottom a little bit, but that will go away once I hem it. But yeah, it fits really, really good, and it does have a little bit more of a looser, looser feel. Let me turn the full light on. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. Let's see. See if that makes any difference in terms of how you can see it. But I feel like it looks really, really good. I love it. I do love it a lot. I feel like this is the New Year's Eve dress. Just got to hem the bottom, like I said, hem the bottom. Adjust, see that purple, you can see it hanging out a little bit. So I will fix that. That's not a big deal. That's a hem situation for sure. And I feel like this is great. This looks so good. This is definitely, I feel like you got to wear your hair all the way up, I think, with this. I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely like it a whole lot. I feel like it looks really, really good. But I think what I will say is I think I'm definitely a size 12 for this because I can tell like how it's much looser up here. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Not bad at all for sure. But I definitely like it a whole lot. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So again, hemming to do, hem the armhole, hem the bottom. Those are the only things I have left to do. This is a size 14. This one is a size 12. Different fabrics for sure, different fabrics. So no zipper, so I did this without the zipper. Was able to pull it over my head without issue at all. So definitely, I think if you pick the size that goes along with the pattern, and you use a knit, the more stretchier, the less likely that you're going to need a zipper. But if you are on the fence, I would say definitely do a basting stitch to this side, so that if you're like, oh, I can't get in it, but I know it's my size, you can like take that basting stitch out and put a little invisible zipper down this side. Definitely will be a winner. So Peach asked, why did I go up a size? So I went up a size because I wanted to see if I could have more ruching effect. Because one of the things that and again, there's a lot of ruching in this, even though I had it on. But the tighter it is, the less ruching that you have, or the more it's like stretched out. And in the Altuzarra dress, their ruching is kind of like they have a lot. So they probably use, what I realize now as I'm did the bigger size, is that they probably used a lot more fabric. So this dress, this overlay was 108 inches. And the dress itself is 50 from the underarm to the bottom of my feet, 54 inches. So they probably used a lot more fabric and did different gathering techniques so that they could have more gathering, more hanging over. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe my fabric was too tight, and if I use a looser fabric, I'll get more gathering. I feel like they look very similar. The gathering is not that much more in this one. So that's why I really went to a larger size. But I feel like size 12 fits me the way that I like the dress to fit. But I'm not going to do anything to this one. I like the way it fits. So I will not be. But what I could see is, like, for example, for this, like, this is like extra. I don't know if you could tell it so much, but I don't have that on this one. You can't really tell because it just looks like it fits. But on this one, this part right here is like right there. It doesn't have this extra little piece. And I feel like maybe that's because I went up a size. Maybe not, but I know I don't have that on the other piece. So But that was my main motivation. Thank you. And it is so. Lavette said it looks comfortable, very comfortable. So I had mentioned this earlier when I had this one on. It's like I had it on, but it feels so comfortable on the inside. Like I literally sat on the couch and I'm watching TV, and you don't feel like you have on a dressy dress. And that's how I feel in this one, because the inside is that cotton. You don't feel like it. You just feel really comfortable. So you got, you kick off your heels, and then you just relaxing, you chilling. So, yeah. So it's very, very comfortable. Let's see. So Miss Alethea said, yeah, using more fabric in length, so it gives you much more ruching. Right. So that's probably the trick. Not just going to a bigger size, but using more fabric. So like I said, I probably, instead of going to a larger size, I could have probably did a size 12. And then instead of 108 inches for the overlay, maybe doing like 120 inches or something like that, giving it even more. And instead of doing there's no stitch in between 6 and 1. So maybe doing like 1 stitch every so often, and then 6 stitches for the majority to give it much more ruching effect, making the stitches closer together. Or of course you could always use the gathering stitch, which you have full control over how much you gather at which sections. So that is probably the trick to getting it to have more of that kind of, because there's almost like hangs a little bit. It's like so much like that it hangs a little bit, which is so beautiful. But I love this too. This is definitely a great inspiration from that. Let's see, anything else? So I stand by that. I do believe it's a quick sew. So I think I estimated like 2 hours. I think maybe 2.5 max. Once you have your fabric cut, I do still think it's a quick sew. Yeah, I think you can get it done in a reasonable amount of time for sure. Like we were on 3 hours and 11 minutes. And we had that, I had to remove that under stitch and redo it. That was probably 30 minutes. Easily 30 minutes. And then we talked a little bit in the beginning. So yeah, I'm standing with the 2.5 hours that you could do this dress. I would stand by that. It's a quick sew. Oh yeah. So Miss Alethea said I could also have used some pleats too to give it that effect of ruching. And I do think, what, now I think about it, because of, so like in this one, when you see it, it's like a whole bunch of little, and in theirs, like, they have some bigger, I don't know, it's like a bigger kind of hangover. So they probably did use a combination of pleats and some ruching, depending on in the area of the dress that they did it. They also, just the distinction, when you look at theirs, their dress also has a little off the shoulder sleeve. So it's not this, it's basically like a little sleeve. So it's just kind of goes from the back of the dress to here. That's the other distinction that dress has from this dress. But this is a great inspired dress. So anything else? Thank you all so much. Yeah. Booga Bookie, I love this long dress. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Yes, you said, yeah, tucks and pleats. Yes. So I might, again, I'm going to make another one in white. So I might play around a little bit and see if I can do a little bit different, because I did buy a lot of white fabric, because again, 100 inches is what it is to get this floor, which I love the floor. The other thing you want to be mindful of is, because you don't have any split, you got to walk in it. And if you plan on wearing heels, it naturally has I think a comfortable walk. So in terms of how wide the leg part is, but if you think you might have a problem with that, you may want to make it a little bit wider, and not go in. It just goes in ever so slightly. Well, I did anyway, just a little bit, probably a graduated inch going in from the side. So you may want to skip that if you feel like you might have some. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, I just want to remind everyone that next Friday, I am taking a little break until the new year, but I believe Carmen is sewing on Friday. So she is covering, she will be here. And I posted it on my Instagram what she's going to be sewing, but I don't remember exactly what she's sewing, but she will be sewing. So please come back on Friday on TikTok. No, not TikTok, on YouTube. She will be sewing in the 7 o'clock Friday slot. And then I will see you all in January with the lineup. Be looking out for the videos on PDFs. Hopefully you all will sew along, check out the patterns. You will love them. They are beginner friendly. I promise you. They are. So consider sewing along. And with that, I'm going to tell everyone good night. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I will see you all in 2 weeks, but likely before that. So thank you. Oh, it's the Black Sewing Network, Lavette, on Black Sewing Network on YouTube. So if you look for Black Sewing Network on YouTube, you would definitely find, so you could follow for next Friday. Yes. So good night, everyone. Good night, good night, good night. Thank you all for hanging out there. And if you do sew it, tag me in it. I would love to see it. All right. Bye, everyone.